America. Today, the undisputed most powerful country in the world. But how did this power actually emerge? The answer is far more shocking than you think. And the most surprising part, it all started because of tea. But before we get there, you need to see the hidden chain behind this story. A country that joined both world wars late but changed the outcome, that crushed the Soviets in the Cold War and became the single superpower, is actually only 250 years old, and its birth almost accidental. So how did this accident happen? Let's begin. Hold on tight. You're about to hear things you never expected. In the 15th century, Europe was caught in a frenzy, the New World Fever. And if Britain hadn't joined that race, America wouldn't exist today. Then one day in 1607, a tiny settlement was founded, Jamestown. Why is this place important? Because it became the starting point of a settlement that would change the future of the world. And no one had a clue. Jamestown grew, expanded. Thousands of Europeans began pouring in. But who were these people? Not the wealthy, not heroes. The truth is this: everyone who couldn't survive in Europe was escaping here. And this mass escape would write America's destiny. The colonies grew, became stronger, and built their own order. Then the inevitable happened. They rose up against Britain. Why? Because Britain wanted to dump the economic burden of the 7 Years' War onto the colonies. Taxes increased. The people exploded. And history witnessed the greatest "I'm not paying this" rebellion ever recorded. A tea ship arrived at Boston Harbor. The people stormed the ship, dumped the tea into the sea. And in that moment, one chapter of world history closed and another opened. The event was called the Boston Tea Party. And this wasn't a spark. It was a powder keg explosion. In 1775, the 13 colonies chose a leader who would enter history forever: George Washington. But Washington lost at first, badly. His army was disorganized, inexperienced, and Britain had the most powerful army in the world. So how could America possibly win? The answer is coming. Keep going. The colonies had made their decision. They wrote a document that changed history, the Declaration of Independence. This wasn't just a statement. It was a direct challenge to an empire. It was the written form of "We are free now." But Britain didn't give up, and the war began to show its real face. Washington lost his early battles. Manhattan fell. His army was shattered. Everyone thought the war was over, but no one knew what Washington was planning. On a freezing Christmas night, he crossed the icy waters of the Delaware River and launched one of the most legendary attacks in history: the Trenton Raid. The British were stunned. Cornwallis fled. And the world understood one thing: Americans would not give up. Washington realized the harsh truth: this army cannot beat Britain like this. The solution? Calling in the Prussian genius, von Steuben. And guess what happened? This man rebuilt the Continental Army from scratch. He brought discipline, tactics, structure. For the first time, the American army became a real army. This transformation would determine the fate of Yorktown. Cornwallis retreated to Yorktown. He waited for reinforcements, but they never came. Because Washington was not alone. France's support changed everything. American and French forces surrounded Yorktown like a ring of steel. And on October 19th, 1781, Cornwallis raised the white flag. At that moment, America won. not just a battle. The fate of a continent was decided. The Treaty of Paris was signed. The United States officially became independent. Britain withdrew to Canada, and when the last British soldiers left New York, Washington entered the city in triumph. The world had just met its new rising power. The American Revolution didn't just reshape America, it shook the entire world. France went bankrupt because of this war. The French Revolution of 1789 was the result. Spain collapsed financially and lost almost all of Latin America. And at the center of all this, the Founding Fathers: Adams, Franklin, Hamilton, Jefferson, Madison, and Washington. On the battlefield, at the negotiating table, in the Constitution, they left their mark on history. America started with a spark. Then it became a rebellion, then a war, and finally, an empire. If the United States is a superpower today, this chain of events is the reason. And this story has many more chapters to tell. Don't miss them. Subscribe, more is coming.